Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Learning and Development Podcast sponsored by Infopro Learning. As always, I'm your host, Nolan Hout. Joining me on the podcast today, we have Sara Cavallucci, the Director of Customer Service Training and Development at GS1. Sara is an industry pro, which you'll soon find out. She has over 20 years of experience across a really wide range of learning and development topics. Today, we're going to be talking about just one topic, though, and it happens to be a favorite of mine, which is customer service training. It's a favorite because when I started in the industry, a lot of the projects that I worked on were in that field, and I could really see the impact that we could have on the people and the business and really everything by getting these training programs developed the correct way. In our podcast today, we're going to talk about a little bit of everything from connecting to the business metrics with our training, skill development. What are those skills that these customer service reps need? Culture and the importance of that on building a team, and measurement. So let's go ahead and get into it. Let's kick things off and meet our guest, Sara. Welcome to the podcast.
Hi, Nolan. It's really great meeting you today. I am excited about our discussion.
Yeah, likewise. Thanks so much for joining on this podcast today, and we're doing this really from afar. So I'm, both. I think we're doing it from opposite ends of the world and opposite time zones. I'm in Idaho, which is at 6:30 in the morning. And Sara, where are you?
Yeah, I am in Brussels, and it's 3:30 p.m. for me.
Right. So I'm drinking my coffee. You're about to go have a drink, maybe of a different kind. So thanks for giving us some of the time at the end of your day for this. And, Sara, how we start every podcast is just by learning a little bit more about you, and particularly how you got to where you are today. I mean, obviously, as a leader at GS1, you've done many great things in your career, but that's not where you started. So tell us a little bit about your origin story of how you got into this field that you're in today.
Yeah, I'm a director for training and customer service, and my role is really to build capabilities in our organization and also to serve our customers for customer service in general. And I have a background in the pharma industry, so working there for so many years. But I would like to tell a nice story about me. So when I was during my university studies, I really worked part-time for an Italian telecom operator as a customer service agent. And I remember working there in the evenings because I needed to study and go to the lessons during the day. But I was hired to handling email support and also creating FAQs, creating content for these websites. It was a lot of years ago in the 20s. Yeah, and then it was a very nice experience. But it was a student job to
Oh,
pay my studies.
yeah.
I could never imagine to be now customer service leader in this organization. No?
Yeah, that's amazing. What is it that you think, what like attracts you to the education side of it? Like are you do you love to learn yourself, or are you more of I just love to empower people? What is it you think that really attracts you there?
Yeah, it's empowering, developing and empowering people. This has been
Mm,
something constant in my career. So I really love giving people the tools, the skills, the capabilities, and everything so they can grow. Like, I am really attracted by the coaching methods. And I see people growing because it was also a growth. I'm growing, so we grow during our lives. And yeah, just imagine I was a customer service agent, and then I evolved into the pharma industry with many roles, and then I evolved into a training and customer service director. So it's about learning skills and doing your best, and for people and myself.
yeah, and what a great topic that we're going to talk about today is kind of that intersection of training and customer service. And I always think it's one of the more fascinating, one of my favorite types of actually programs to work with our clients on. And the reason being is I feel like it is so directly connected to the business. I think sometimes in the learning development space, we do have some challenges connecting. Okay, an investment here makes this there. Talk a little bit, if you would. What is that connection? Why is there such a tight connect between, training and then the outcomes when it comes to customer service training?
I think customer service starts with people and ends with people. So it's all
Yeah,
about people. And you can provide great customer service, so meaning great customer experience to your customers, only if the people who serve the other people feel confident and supported. And this is why
right.
training is so important. So people need to know their job, I mean their work, but they also need to feel empowered to serve other people. So this is why training is key. And it connects customer service with, the development and training field.
Yeah, and I think you said it, you know, I think you said what it begins and ends, with the people, and I think I agree with you. I think that's why there is such a connect between the two. Is a lot of times they are the brand that your people experience, and I think that's really really valuable to get that right. I kind of a lot of times use this example of Nordstrom, a large retailer here that is just known impeccable customer service, and that's what they're known for. And to do that, that means that their customer service training is where they invest a lot of their money and a lot of their time is making sure that those people deliver because that's become their brand. And a couple other companies, Zappos and things like that. And the inverse holds true as well. I'm not going to name those ones because they would probably be embarrassed. But there are organizations who are known for maybe not investing so much on their customer service, and they kind of just rely on the brand to carry them forward. And that seems to be a really short-sighted kind of investment because it always ends up eroding your brand. Because again, it's the people that actually engage with you that help determine a lot of that brand value. Absolutely agree. It is that person. And so when it comes to, so that's why there's that connect. How have you seen uh, training programs, either while you were in the field yourself or now that you're kind of leading the charge? How are you seeing training programs have an impact on the business?
So yeah, I think training programs that have a big impact on the business nowadays should focus on technology like
Mm,
artificial intelligence. I think now this is a key topic because technology evolves, but everything in customer service is about the human connection. So we go back to this point. I love this point. It's people helping people. And if our teams, our customer service professionals are trained on working on AI in the right way, for instance, if we learn together as a team, customer service professionals, how to leverage AI for our daily job, that it can be quickly find answers from our internal knowledge base, or it can be having chatbots to
yeah.
handle first line or frequently asked questions 24 by 7. So this gives customers immediate help, but also our team as professionals. This frees up our time and we can focus on projects or more complex issues that need the human expertise and the human touch. This is just an example. I don't know what you think about this.
Yeah, no, I totally, so I think one big, so years ago, like I don't know how many years ago at this point, I wrote this ebook. I don't even know if I'm going to recall it immediately off the top of my head, but I had outlined kind of 3 levers, and I said, listen, if you're a CLO, Chief Learning Officer, a learning leader, business leader, whatever, you've kind of got 3 levers that you can pull, and you're always trying to kind of navigate these. One is business performance, right? You always have to know, okay, how much am I pulling on this? The second is learning experience. And how are we crafting personalized unique learning experiences, which is essentially like, how for somebody like yourself, that actually is your customer, right? Your net promoter score is your learners internally. And then your third one is operational efficiency, right? How am I organizing my L&D team, and how am I doing things efficiently? And I think that third lever, which you're talking about right now, actually AI, is a really interesting, especially in the customer service field. I feel it pulls 2 levers. It pulls the customer experience lever, the learning experience lever, and the operational lever at the same time. And naturally helps the business improve, because what you're doing is you're shrinking your cost to serve, right? And anytime you can shrink your cost to serve, cost meaning any actually dollars and cents, or as you mentioned, time. If you can, as an example, maybe customer service reps really have the same 5 questions, right? But they need an answer kind of right now. And so you create a bot that sits on top of their screen, that actually is like a job aid, a responsive job aid, right? It's I'm talking to a client, what can I do? Or maybe it lives in your application, whatever it should be. If they can get that information served right then and there, that means somebody on the back end didn't have to go in and do that. Well, what does that mean? That person now has time possibly to think deeply about what, maybe a critical problem like first call resolution, right? Oh man, we're not solving the problem correctly the first time. Why is that? Let me dig into the call recordings. Let me figure out what it is, and then create a training program specifically around improving first call resolution, right? So I totally agree with you that when you're talking about getting better can mean I outlined it to one of those 3 things, but I think AI really helps you pull all of those. But I wanted to talk about something I mentioned, and I'd like to ask you about it. In customer service training, I feel one of the hardest things to do is to actually know which business metric, which lever internally you're trying to work on, because there's a lot of connection between things. As an example, we worked with a large telecom provider here in the United States, and they said, listen, we don't care how long it takes for a customer to solve the issue, but we never want them calling back. We want them to call one person, this one person, give them the answer, first call. So they called it first call resolution was their number. That by nature makes call handling time really high, because they're spending the time with every customer, which is a lot of organizations say, oh, well, I want call handling time super low. And if that's low, your first call resolution is low. So how do you manage all of these different things? If I want to serve the customer right, but I kind of want to get them off the phone quickly, so because then if I'm talking to this person too long, my queue time now becomes way too long. How do you manage how you speak, like what is valuable to these customer service people when you're training them?
Yeah, so Just One is a non-for-profit organization, and it's a federation of 118 member organizations, and our customer service is provided 24/7 by email or scheduled calls or follow-up calls. But what is super important for us, is not being a non-for-profit organization, is not the return of investment numbers or whatever scores for training. It's really the impact, back to your point. So I think each company decides when customer service, how to measure customer service training and customer service in general. And for us, the training is measured by focusing on the impact from different angles. For instance, as every customer service, we have customer service satisfaction score. If our customer service satisfaction score is very high, and for me, it means that all the training and all the efforts we put into training for our team is great. So 98% customer satisfaction score shows that the team is well trained, is empowered, that they have the skill set to serve our customers in our federated model in the best way. So I don't, in our organization, we don't look really at return of investment numbers. We also have global surveys, hearing from the customer, how do you feel about the support you received when you need it, or also in a more a proactive way. In different countries, time zone, we are all around the world. So this feedback, surveys as feedback is another key thing, because if the survey shows that our customers are happy, all the effort, again, the investment in training pays back. Another thing I love is also informal conversations. These are a significant indicator. So just I was, we run a lot of regional and global events, and there was an event some months ago, our Just One events, and a person approached me saying, "Are you Sara?" "Yes, I am. So I wanted to share a feedback about someone in your team who assisted us so well for 1 month." Back to your point, I mean, assisting in the right way, with the right time. And they assisted us with emails, sending instructions, meetings, follow-up meeting, making sure that we had, our issue, our inquiry completely solved. We were satisfied. So we went through several steps, but this person with empathy and patient and knowledge and expertise solved our issue. So I want to share this with you and thank this person. And for me, this kind of a spontaneous conversation, this person was smiling all the time. You say, "Oh, what a nice thing that is happening now." And I immediately called the person and shared this, and also the person in my team was very happy, because these things are, these are a significant indicator of the impact of training and the expertise and the knowledge on the customers. I don't know what you think about this, but for me, is a beautiful thing.
Yeah, I think what you talked on, or what you touched on, is something that I try to communicate a lot, is getting feedback. Sometimes, like, getting feedback from many sources is good, because you never just want to say, "Oh, it's only this," or "It's only that," or whatever. But some of the best feedback you can get is actually just going and asking people and hearing from them what that experience is. What, did you glean from it? And because it's in that story that you can start to understand what is the culture of this training program, right? An individual score, over time, as you mentioned, if I don't know if 98% was your score, or if that was hypothetical, but that is just amazing. So obviously you're doing a great job. But getting the story helps am we steering the ship in the right direction? And speaking of AI, I sat next to a gentleman on a plane last week, and he had just demoed this new AI. Speaking of AI, he had just demoed this new AI feature that they were launching. The product's called Airtable. And he said, what we do is we pull in the call recording from every salesperson, every demo that the salesperson gives. And we load it into this table, and then we ask it to find the commonalities. And it actually tells us what features of our product are most valuable, which features of our product require the most, explaining, and which ones do people just never talk about. And he said that he's like, I can't tell you how efficient that has made product, managing this product at Airtable, is being able to just hear from the customer without having to sort through hundreds of conversations to kind of start codifying those stories, is like an enormous win. So, yeah, I think all types of feedback are great, especially the ones where you can go and have somebody come up to you and tell you how great you did, because that shows that people care. And one of the things that you just touched on, though, was, and you mentioned empathy, was something that this person had expressed. The big driver for a lot of organizations today is shifting away from this idea of, oh, this is a customer service job, and the job is answering the phone or doing whatever, and it's all moved to what are the skills that make these customer service people great, at least at GS1 versus a different organization and whatever. As we start to see this shift towards a skills economy, they say, versus kind of a job task, what are those skills that you think are in high regard? What are the skills that customer service, other people like yourself should really, you think, be focusing on developing in kind of today's customer service person?
So we mentioned empathy, and this is not a surprise. The power of empathy, we know, and we know in all the relationships. But something that I think it's very important now is collaboration. We tend to think about customer service agents working independently. It can be, you can work independently as a professional, as an agent, or whatever kind of format you use to serve your customers. But just imagine the power of collaboration. If you have a very complex problem to solve, and you know that you can openly discuss this with one or more colleagues, ask for their perspective, build on each other ideas, and build and design a solution that solve the problem, the issue, the inquiry, the question in less time with high quality. I think this is powerful. And in the same time, think about you learn, you level each other knowledge. This is peer learning. And if you kind of allow and help building this collaborative environment where people feel psychologically safe. I know it's very ambitious, but just imagine, that you can count on the expertise of your colleagues. And each of us, we all have our strengths, our areas of knowledge.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody knows everything. This is basic. And it's peer learning. So you have training, formal, informal training, but you also have this format of peer learning. Just imagine how powerful this is. And another thing that I think it's a part of it is problem solving is something in customer service. And I think my team always heard me saying the same thing. You need to have a problem statement. You know what your problem statement is. Try to formulate the problem statement. Then find a fix. But also then don't forget the root cause analysis. These 3 steps for me are very important, and they are part of problem solving. They are concrete steps in problem solving. No, none of them is easy, because I don't know what you think, but formulate a real and clear and simple problem statement, find a fix, and then execute a root cause analysis. It's not easy. I think it's a skill we need to continuously develop, improve.
Yeah, and a quick thought, and then I have a follow-up on that. It's so interesting that you mentioned collaboration, because I feel most of us, when we view customer service, we view it as almost an isolated position, right? It's you and the customer. It's you and I having this conversation. And so what does collaboration mean? And I feel I've honestly never thought of it that way, but I feel that is what, when I'm having a bad experience, what I am actually looking for is a collaboration with me and the person, and
Mhm.
possibly one other person from their side. It always seems like it's me saying something, they're saying something. They can't figure it out, they give me to somebody else. And it's never, oh, let me patch in John. Oh, John, I've got Nolan. We're trying to figure this problem out. Can you help us? I've never thought of that. I think you got something there. But coming back to so you said collaboration, problem solving, and empathy. How do you, and you might not be part of this, but how do you hire for those skills? Like, how do you know whether somebody has those skills before you bring them into the organization?
Yeah, this is a challenge. This is a challenge. So we have an hiring process, I think, as many companies, structured. We also include an assessment in our hiring
Hmm.
process, and a presentation of the results of the assessment where the team, some people in the team, people who want to do this, participate to see and
Yeah.
have different perspectives. But I think honestly, so these skills can be developed or improved based on the culture of the organization. So here I would say hiring, yes, is challenging. We have a process, but what I think it makes a difference is the onboarding process.
Mm, hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just, oddly enough, just posted a podcast on somebody who is really focused on onboarding, and one of the big takeaways that we talked about was, if you know those are the skills, right? If we know these are the three, and there's more, obviously there's more, but we say, okay, we think the top three skills of a customer service rep are collaboration, problem solving, and empathy. If we know that, we have to put that in the actual job description. We have to be hiring on those skills. That's the first thing you have to do. First you identify the skill, and then you need to start hiring for that skill. And then, as you mentioned, okay, so the recruiter mentions these are the skills. It's in the job description. In the interview, you're asking these questions about these three things. And then, to your point, when you get onboarded, it gets echoed throughout that training, so that this employee has a unified view of what skills the company values, so that it's not like, oh, uh, you know, I've been told I just got to get people off the phone. Got to get people off the phone, right? Efficiency is the number one thing. Just got to get people off the phone.
Mm.
That's all I'm being told. But when I started, everybody said you need to be really empathetic and you need to be a collaborator and a problem solver. But now I'm just being told to get off the phone as fast as I can. That doesn't, we're smiling probably because we know that happened. We know that is exactly what has happened in many organizations. So, yeah, you mentioned onboarding is so critical, because if you don't reinforce from the beginning, again, back to your culture, you now don't have this culture. And I think people really underestimate, especially in my opinion. So I've led a couple different teams of the demographic, customer service kind of demographic. And out of all the teams, the culture of that team seems to drive a lot of value. And if you have a good culture, it can actually compensate for a lot of other weaknesses that you might have within that team and in the individual. But if the culture is bad on that floor, it is really hard to hide any problems. What have you seen that? Like, how important do you think that culture is? Like, is it really just, if you can get the culture, everything is a little bit smoother?
No, I think the culture is something so important. And, I work in my organization on the just one culture in partnership with my colleagues and human resources as a part of my role. But the culture of a customer service team is something really to invest on. And I invest so much time. And this is also something I enjoy a lot.
Yeah, yeah.
And yeah, there's trust. I like to have a team trusting each other
Trust is
in
big.
every day. Every day, you need to trust your colleagues because at the end, we are all doing the same thing. We want all to achieve the same results in line with the organizational objectives, but we want our customers to be happy, and we need to cultivate our relationships. Okay, be respectful with your colleagues, learn from each other, create connections, and also something I enjoy a lot. Demonstrate you care about the others. Demonstrate you understand your colleagues.
Mm-hmm.
And there is something that there are a couple of points that for me are very important. One is allowing mistakes, and
Yeah.
this, agile mindset, fail fast, learn, and then, solve and continue. But allow mistakes because it happens to all of us. It happens to me. It happens, I'm sure, for everybody. Also, share this continuous improvement. It's a continuous. There is not, something you achieve and then you are done. If you do things well, then you can do it better, you can improve, you can experiment, you can add new things. Always having the customer, thinking customer first. And this is really something I like, and with my team to reinforce this culture. So we do workshops all together in
Mm-hmm.
again in a safe environment. Because we need also to share challenges. We need to find together a solution to some of the challenges. We need to decide how to continuously improve together. So we do these things.
Oh, the final topic before we wrap up is, culture is we just talked about is so valuable, as well as everything else. It's not just that, but how do you how do you measure the effectiveness of a lot of that training, right? Like, especially when we talk about culture, empathy, collaboration. Some of those are a longer thing. It's not like I invested in training today and tomorrow I made a change. How are you tracking the effectiveness of all of these programs and all this time spent back to the bottom line?
So we leverage reports, we leverage analytics.
Mm,
For instance, we look as to the customer questions or issues that are coming in before and after this formal training. For instance, if we trained the agents, the professionals on a specific service, on a new initiative, something they need to assist with, and then after in the first month, so we see the trends, and we start
mm,
seeing the tickets, the inquiries decrease. I think this tell us something big. So the training worked because the support provided was clear, and customers didn't need to reach out as much. I think
yeah.
it's a kind of powerful signal. So we do this a lot with reports and analytics, but it doesn't, it's not something that people should feel as, a score. It's not meant to be a score. It's meant to
Mm,
be, as the training worked for
right.
all of us, we see that the inquiries on this specific thing are decreasing. Yes or no. So we need a
Yeah.
retraining, for instance. And this is for the more technical or product related training, but for all the rest, I would say soft skills training. I think it's also a measure of the growth and development of the team. We know that in customer service, the turnover can be high. Okay, there are people who don't remain in customer service forever, like me when I started. And but if people remains and they rely less on the manager, less on the others. They are more empowered. They start doing more complex things like projects and improvement initiatives. This is also growth. I think it's a measure of the collaboration, the trust, the peer learning, the empathy. So seeing people growing, leveling up. Uh,
Yeah.
I
And I,
think.
I love that answer because there's something that you touched on that I think we get a little caught up on sometimes is almost afraid to decide and to say, yes, if I do this training, I'm going to have this output, because if I don't, what does that mean? And it doesn't have to be if you look at it as, oh, if I don't, whatever, improve customer service, then I'm fired, or this program sucks. It's just, no, that means you need to go back and understand why. You mentioned really early on, and I totally agree. I think it's a continual process. I don't necessarily think customer service, you can, I don't think you can jumpstart it. I don't think you can shock it and then, oh, okay, now everybody's better. You slowly have to, and maybe that means that sometimes you take a one step back, but sometimes you might need to take a step back to take two forward. So don't be so hard on yourself and think that everything has to have some monumental impact on the bottom line. The most important thing is that you understood the impact, whether that was good or bad, and you took it as a whole versus as this project, because I do think that people get a little nervous. So that's really, but one of my favorite answers actually that I asked that question to everybody. That's actually one of my favorites that I've had. So I'm going to start using that when people ask me.
Yeah, no.
So,
Yeah,
but, yeah. So what a great way to end then on one of my favorite answers of my whole podcast. So thank you so much, Sara, for joining. This has been an absolute blast. We're now close to quitting time for you. I'll
thank
probably go
you.
get my second cup of coffee, but thank you, Sara. This has been gorgeous.
Thank you. Thanks a lot for having me. And yeah, have a nice day.
Thank you.
Thank you.